Welcome back, Headz. In this video, I'm talking about my first impression of the Pyxis 6K. After this.
Hey, okay, I know I'm here to stay. Counting on my wins, so I can't play it safe. Try to go against us, get you out the way. Go hard, it's the only way to play. Let me say, I'm a trendsetter. I'm a go-getter. I'm a trendsetter. I'm a go-getter. I'm a trendsetter. Who can do it better? I'm a go-getter. I'm a trendsetter. Hey, look.
If you guys have been following this channel any length of time, you know I made a video about me pre-ordering the Pyxis 6K. Now, I want to make a follow-up to that, and it took me a little while. I had the camera for probably about a month and a half, taking it through its paces, going through some things and post-editing and all these types of things, trying to see what I can, what I can't do with it. First off, I'm going to say I used to have the Red Raven. I had that camera a little while ago, and I really loved that camera. I loved it because of the different creativity that I can do with it in post-editing. The Red Code Raw is unmatched by any means, by any stretch of the imagination. It's just unmatched. There's nothing like the Red Code Raw. So let me get that out of the way first off. So I'm comparing the Pyxis 6K to the Red Raven mainly because it gives me that Red Raven vibe, right? It's got that heaviness to it, and it's, you know what I'm saying, it feels substantial in my hands. You don't have any of that micro jitters or any of that kind of stuff because of the weight mainly, right? And so the camera is everything I expected it to be. It fulfilled my expectations. Let me say that right off rip. It fulfilled my expectations in the post-editing process, the imagery, and the look of it, right? The functionality of the camera. Now, there is a couple quirks I want to kind of address, and one being that the functionality of the battery is not up to par where it should be. Now, when my battery is about 40%, it thinks that I'm, have a low cell. And then when I'm around about 25 to 30%, the camera just shuts off, right? And so I would imagine they're going to fix that in a firmware update. And so I'm kind of waiting for that. But other than that, everything else, I have no gripes or quarrels about this camera. I don't regret my purchase at any time. And I have some updates for you guys. So you guys know I pre-ordered this camera way back in April. And when I pre-ordered this camera, I was so excited to get it. But of course, it was a 6-month delay before it started shipping. So in the midst of that delay, I had to cancel my pre-order, right? And I had to get another camera because I had a production coming up and I wanted to shoot. And I couldn't wait for the Pyxis any longer. So I canceled my pre-order. I ended up getting the Canon R5C. Now, I really like that camera too. Now, this will be my second time owning the R5C, and I actually got it because I knew about the nuances of the camera. I knew exactly what to expect. And lo and behold, that camera is around $2,800 refurbished right now. And I'm telling you right now, that is a great deal for that camera because they have improved the autofocus. The first time I owned that camera, the autofocus wasn't that great. And I ended up selling it because of the autofocus wasn't that great, because at that time, I needed an A-cam that had decent autofocus. Because of course I'm a one-man band, a one-man production. I hire different people to help out here and there, but I'm mainly a one-man band. I ended up selling it because the autofocus was not good, right? So now fast forward to the second time I just owned it, which is about 2 months ago. I just sold it, and I'm telling you, they have updated the firmware, and that autofocus is now good. It is production level good, right? You can do an interview and all that kind of stuff. You can do B-roll with models or whatever, and you're gonna be able to count on that autofocus. And it's actually really good. It's not Sony good, but it's good. Now, I've owned my fair share of Sony, so I know exactly how that autofocus works. And it's not Sony good, but it is good. But I ended up selling it again because I wanted the Pyxis. I wanted that B-RAW workflow. And so because I've already been introduced to the Blackmagic RAW, the B-RAW with the Micro 4K G2, and man, I was impressed by that RAW and how I can bring those colors out. So I was really expecting something great out of the Pyxis 6K, and I'm telling you right now, it's on par. It's the same, right? It's not nothing more extra, but it's the same B-RAW, right? And the camera is basically centered around the B-RAW. the way, the functionality of the camera. Matter of fact, you can only record in B-raw, which I'm okay with that because I like recording raw 100% of the time if I can. Now, there are certain instances where I won't record in raw, but if I can record in raw, then that's what I'm going to record in because that's my go-to. The reason why I like raw so much is because it allows me to be so flexible. You know, you have the latitude of being creative. A lot of times I have a certain thought in mind, a certain look I'm going for, but when I get into post-editing, I might get inspired by something else, and I want to have the latitude to be able to push towards that creativity. So that's why I like raw as much as I do, right? And so for me, I record just about everything in raw, right? So if you're not recording in raw that much, then maybe the Pyxis is not, you know, something that's going to be high on your priority list. Also, the readout speed on the sensor is not that fast on the Pyxis, especially if you're dealing with open gate. So that means you're going to have slower pans, you know what I'm saying? You're not going to be doing anything quick. You're not going to be filming a race car race, right? So, yeah, so keep that in mind. I mean, again, these tools are just for what you need. I've changed cameras so many times based on the tool I wanted for the job. So I've owned a lot of different cameras. I own the Z-Cam 2s, I own the R5Cs, I own plenty of the Sony cameras. I own the JVC GYLS 300. I own the Red Raven, I own the Red One. I mean, I own a lot of different cameras, right? And so I got the camera for what I needed for that particular time. And so a lot of times I don't have a huge budget, so I can't hold on to that camera and then get the other camera that I want, kind of thing, right? So I have to sell that camera and then get the camera that I want for that particular production. And it works out well for me because I don't like to have my camera sit around and depreciate and then I end up losing value. So that's neither here nor there. My thing is, the Red Raven is probably one of my favorite cameras to date, right? And the only reason why I got rid of the Red Raven is because how heavy it was. So if I need extra rigging, more heavy duty rigging or heavy duty sliders, I can't just get a regular slider for a Red Raven, right? You got to get a heavy duty slider. You can't just get a regular gimbal. You know what I mean? You need a heavy duty gimbal, that kind of thing. And so those things actually matter. You know what I'm saying? And so when I got the Pyxis and I found out how heavy it is, how dense and heavy that this camera is. Now, it's not quite as heavy as the Red Raven, but it kind of gives me that Red Raven vibes, right? So I'm thinking to myself, man, is this the Red Raven all over again? But what I've come to find out is I talked to a friend of mine, Chris Flores. Chris Flores gave me a recommendation of the Flycam flow line, and man, that was a game changer. That was a game changer, I'm gonna be honest with you. Now, if I'd had that Flycam flow line when I had the Red Raven, I probably would never have sold it. I've never sold it. So for you guys that don't know, the Flycam flow line is basically kind of like a knockoff of the Easy Rig, right? It just, you know, have the string above you and it helps you support the weight of the camera or whatever it is you're dealing with, and it distributes the weight over on your body as opposed to just your arms holding it, right? So now, the Pyxis is not that heavy, I mean, per se, but you're only gonna be able to, you know what I'm saying, film like this for so long before you have to actually set it down. And actually, I'm gonna be honest with you, I really like the weight of it. The weight is distributedly, you know what I'm saying, pretty good. And one of the things I'm really impressed about the Pyxis is that it does one thing and it does it well, right? It captured images well, right? And so is there something about the look of the images that come out of the Blackmagic sensors and the camera and their whole flow of things, and then that whole easy post-editing flow with the B-raw. I mean, man, that's great. To be perfectly honest, if I had to pick between this and the Red Raven, I don't know. It's just a hard decision for me, right? With the prices of all those red cameras coming down, you know, around the 3,000 range and all that. And if you guys are on my Reddit, I post those deal alerts all the time. With the Red Raven, Scarlet the Epic, and there's the Dragon, the Scarlet W. But right now, the Pyxis 6K is definitely in my wheelhouse and where I want to be. A lot of more videos to come. I know I was supposed to put some videos out earlier on, but things got busy and, work and all those types of things. And so I'm starting to get more freed up and starting to get more time to put towards these videos. And this was one of the first ones I wanted to get out because I know I did a video on the pre-order for the Pyxis 6K. I just want to catch you guys up to date where we are with that. You guys know me. I'm Aaron Jones. I'm your big brother, and I got your back. I'm all about faith, family, and filmmaking. If you're all right with that and you like the content here, make sure you go ahead and hit subscribe. Make sure you comment down below all the questions you may have. I try my best to get through all the comments and respond as much as possible. Until the next time, make sure you go out and you film something and kill it.